Greetings, true believers. My name is CT Leffler, and welcome to this episode of Pump and Motor Dialogue. Now, on today's show, I've got Allen Bowman, controller here at the Pump and Motor Division, and he's going to be telling us a little bit about accounting and his journey here at Parker. He's a 36-year Parker employee and has been all over the corporation, so we're going to learn quite a bit from him. Plus, you guys know, I'm an engineer, bit of a business background, but I don't really know a whole lot about accounting itself, so I might be asking some pretty low-tier questions here, but I think we can all learn a lot from it. Plus, we hit him with the Q&A. He even throws a few questions back my way, which is always fun, and we learn quite a bit about the man. So, with all that being said, let's jump right into Pump and Motor Dialogue with Allen Bowman. Allen, I appreciate you coming on the show today. First time we've had someone on the accounting team on the program. Not sure why it took so long, but I'm glad you're here.
Glad to be here.
Good. Awesome. So can you tell me just a little bit about yourself, what you do here at Parker?
Yep. So my name is Allen Bowman. I'm a division controller, right? So I'm basically the head bean counter for PMD, which I've been a controller at Parker for a long time. So
Okay.
This is probably my fourth different controllership.
Oh, wow. So how long have you been at Parker?
Well, I've been at Parker for 36 years,
Okay.
right? Initially, when I started with Parker, I hadn't even graduated from school. So I
wow.
have not been in accounting that whole time.
Okay. So when did you start? Like, what did you go through? You can't just tell me 36 years and leave it at that. Like, where have you been?
Oh, my gosh. So how much time do we have?
We have plenty of time.
Oh, jeez. So when I started with Parker Hannifin, I was working at a division of Parker called the Finite Filter Division. It was in the filtration group. And it was a recent acquisition. And I actually had started there as kind of a summer help, summer internship, right? And then I went back to school, and then I decided that, hey, I am going to finish my education at the University of Michigan part-time and work full-time. So during that period of time, Parker actually paid for my tuition.
That's very nice.
Yeah. So I did that for, about 3-4 years. And after I graduated, I actually went into, the Parker, what was at the time the version of the LDA program, right?
Okay,
So
yeah.
They called it the Financial Accounting Training Program, right? So that was in 1993. So I transitioned into the LDA program, and I was in probably one of the more prolific, we'll call it, classes within Parker.
Don't they all
Hannifin.
think that?
No. So my class consisted of Todd Lee and Bruno,
Okay.
who was the CFO, Adam Kratzer, who is no longer with Parker, but he was a group controller for both instrumentation and filtration. One other person that exited Parker within a couple of years, and myself, right? So we're actually, I'd like to think of one of the more successful
good
LDA
company.
programs. And I also like to think that, when they were hiring for that particular class, they were like looking at Todd and Adam and saying, they can't all be CFOs, right? We need a journeyman. Give me, what's the runt over in the corner? What's his last name?
Who's that
Bowman?
guy?
Yeah, we'll take him too,
Yeah.
right? We need some fill-in underneath. So.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was, at that point in time, the LDA program was really, it was like 3 2-month rotations and then a full-time position, right?
Okay.
So I was with the Automation Actuator Division, which has since been kind of folded into PDN. For a couple of months. I was with internal audit for a couple of months.
Okay.
And then my final rotation, which was also my landing spot out of the program, was at the pneumatics division. So I worked in Otsego, Michigan for about the first 9 years of my accounting career.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. So outside of accounting, outside of Parker, what do you like to do in your spare time?
Oh, well, I am big on water sports,
Okay.
right? So we actually we live on a lake
Okay.
somewhere between Charlotte and Greensboro, right, in Lexington, North Carolina. And I am really excited about jet skiing and pontoon boating and paddleboarding and
Okay.
kayaking. So when the weather is appropriate, right, you'll often find me outside of work on the water
Okay.
someplace. So
Very cool. Would that happen to be High Rock Lake?
it is High Rock Lake, yeah.
I'm local.
So you know High Rock Lake.
I know the lakes around
Yeah,
the
a
general
lot.
geography of the
Yeah,
area.
yeah. So it's like a huge bass fishing lake. I'm not a huge fisherman, but I do like to fish on occasion. So I see a lot of bass boats out there. So
Okay.
yeah.
And what about the family? Any kids, grandkids?
Gosh, yeah, as a matter of fact, I just on March 6th just became a granddad for the first time.
Oh,
So
congratulations.
yeah, thank you.
Perfect timing for that question.
My oldest son, Blaine, had his first child. Her name's Marley Rose. And it's like awesome. We've been waiting for this, my wife and I, because
Yeah.
we really miss the kid phase.
Uh-huh.
And we've just been waiting for this for, it seems like ever. So we finally welcomed Marley into the fold on March 6th. So I spent a fair amount of last week up in Ohio, which is where our boys are.
Okay.
Showing her how to be a Bowman.
Never too early.
Yeah, right.
Never too
right,
early.
Right.
So I guess my big question to start off with, the accounting part of this, and don't take this the wrong way, but when I was in grad school getting my MBA, there were a few accounting classes. And I have an engineering degree. I had a math minor. I've taken all kinds of math, but I'm in these accounting classes. And the math just ain't mathin'. It's a totally different way of thinking about math. So what is it that got you interested in accounting?
Yeah.
Just from the outset, because it sounds like you started at Parker, then you went back for your accounting degree, and then went through what's now the LDA program.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is it about accounting?
Yeah, I really enjoyed, especially the cost accounting aspect of accounting, right? So, to be quite honest with you, when I was taking my, intermediate 1, intermediate 2 accounting classes, I'm like, I don't know if I made the right call here, right? Because it was kind of boring and it was a lot of rule application. But then when I started taking my cost accounting and managerial accounting classes and really got into, the nuts and bolts of how a manufacturing organization works from the ground up, in establishing overhead rates and material costs and all of that goes into gross margin, right? And then adjusting it as you move down the operating statement by operating adjustments, things like, okay, what was your scrap fallout, right? What was your overhead incurred versus your overhead absorbed? All these other variances in getting down to a net manufacturing margin. I really, really like that. And coincidentally, at the same time, I was also working in a manufacturing, plant, right?
Yeah.
So I made the connection and I thought, that's really what I want to go into. So, at the time I was getting ready to graduate and I was thinking, I'll go get my CPA and, go do something in public accounting. And my my uncle was working at Merrill Lynch at the time. He's like, you got to go become a stockbroker, right? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, all you're really doing is pushing around money that other people have made, right?
Right.
I would rather go to, where the value's actually at.
Make the money yourself, or with the people at the facility.
Yeah. And that's what got me really excited about accounting and specifically manufacturing accounting.
Okay, so that's interesting because I didn't really think about it from that aspect as far as the cost accounting and the manufacturing accounting that you're talking about. So I assume that you're working a lot with pricing, supply chain, all those sorts of folks. But as a controller, which branches of the division are feeding into you? I guess. I'm not sure if that's the best way to say it.
Yeah. So, the answer is all of them, right?
Okay.
So, we deal with, policies and budgets and, spending, both up and down the operating statement.
Okay.
So, we've had some interactions with respect to like trade show spending and that type
Right.
of thing, right? So,
CT, why are you spending 30 grand in one shot? You usually spend nothing.
yeah. So, I'm responsible for, the whole, totality of the operating statement, right? So it doesn't stop at gross or net manufacturing margin.
Okay. And so what aspect of it would you say is your favorite? Like when you complete a project or you really dial something in as far as the pricing or the accounting goes, like what's your favorite part? You mentioned cost and manufacturing. It has to be in there somewhere.
If I had to pick, it absolutely would be, if you look at the operating statement above net manufacturing margin, right? Because I think as a manufacturing location, that's where all the opportunity is, right? And, for PMD, if I'm allowed to speak in generalities, that's where we've made leaps and bounds this past year financially, right? It hasn't been, in SG&A or below net manufacturing margin areas. It's really been in what we picked up in operating adjustments, the efficiency of the organization. And it's really catapulted this division in this past year to a place where, hey, we have some real financial hope for the future. Yeah.
That's very interesting. So you've been in accounting for, I think you said 30, Parker for 36 years.
Yeah.
If my math is right, accounting for probably like 35.
Yeah.
What sort of advice would you give to new accountants that are in college or just hitting the workforce now?
Okay. Really two things. One, if you're going into manufacturing company, focus on cost accounting, right? And number two, don't limit your scope to just the accounting function or area. Make sure that you reach out and learn what's going on in supply chain and marketing, for the commercial side of the business as well, because when you ultimately, if your career goal is to become a controller, you're going to have to, deal with everybody, the whole circle of folks. You're not going to be just doing one JV or just doing, one reconciliation. It's, that product is going to be contingent upon your understanding of the rest of the organization, right?
So. Wow. Okay. No, that's a really good answer. Really branch out in all aspects of whatever company you're working for so you can really get a good understanding of what they're doing and how that funnels into your job.
Yeah. It's, I'll say this, it's no coincidence that a high percentage of, the GMs and in certain cases, certain VPs kind of came through the accounting function, right?
Yeah.
Because there's an assumed baseline understanding of, finance once you get into those higher up positions, I guess.
Oh, very cool. So in your time, again, as an accountant, or a controller just within the financial side of the business, what is something that if you told yourself at 22, this was going to happen in the world of financials, like something that changed or growth or like a new innovation or something, that would just like blow his mind, or maybe even blows your mind now that like has happened and you're like, I still can't believe that it has changed like that?
Boy.
You could think about it for a second. I know that's.
I'm going to have to.
I know that's a big question. I'm throwing out some new ones for this new season.
No, that's good. Yeah. So number one, I barely remember myself at 22. And number two, there've been, so many technological advances, So, I would have to say probably, the single biggest is probably SAP and the consolidations and how you can take this just mega data and really boil it down for whole organizations like relatively quickly. So, when I came into accounting, if you did a JV, it was like manual. So you pull pulled up a JV and you had to key it into the mainframe system, right? And if something went wrong, you had to fix it right then. Now we're like screen scraping the data in, right? So it's basically, 80% of accounting is really, outside of the mainframe. It's being done in like Excel and then converted over into the mainframe application, and then subsequently, fed up via the mainframe. And then, you can pull it down in SAP and get some really quick, awesome analysis of, not only, plant level or division level, but group level. So you see a section of, let's say, production variance or something like that across the whole group. And you see it, division by division by division, and it happens almost instantaneously.
Yeah. So the sheer level of data collection and how quickly we can do it, and then the kind of trends it allows us to see that normally, well, not normally, but 30, 40 years ago, it just wouldn't be possible because it's just so large. Yeah. And so now we're looking at things that were there, but we never could know.
Right.
If you'd like to learn more about the Pump and Motor Division, please visit our website at parker.com/PMD. There you can learn all about our products, the industries we play in, where you can buy, and even more. Again, that's parker.com/PMD. Now let's get back to the show. Those are really all the questions that I've got for you.
Okay.
So what we like to do on the show, I don't know if you've ever listened to any episodes before. It's okay if you haven't. A lot of people haven't that come on the show. I've got a little Q&A section. It's a list of 10 questions, seemingly random. I mean, they're just kind of everywhere, but it's kind of, get to know you a little better.
Okay.
Using some questions that maybe you haven't thought of before.
Okay.
I think I've asked you a couple already, but these don't have anything to do with your job. And if you want to explain a little bit, explain your answer. I may have some follow-up questions, so we'll just see how it goes.
Okay.
Always a good time.
Do I get to ask any questions?
You can ask questions, sure.
Okay. All right.
If you want.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So the first question I have for you is, what is the last song that you listened to? It
was Copperhead Road. It was actually playing as I drove into the parking lot this morning.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. Was it the live version or the album version?
It was the album version, and I only say that I don't know that there are two versions of that particular song, but there was no background noise.
Okay,
so it was definitely recorded in a studio, much like this scenario.
Yeah, this is definitely a studio. It's definitely not a conference room.
Definitely not. No.
So what was your favorite childhood TV show?
Oh, it was. I'm trying to think back as far as possible. All right, so I'm like 3, 4-ish. It was like this show called. I think it was Kimba the Friendly Lion, something like that. It was like a white lion.
Yeah, it's an anime from Japan.
Is it?
I think so. And I think it's.
This would have been back in the 60s.
No, I know.
Like late 60s.
A lot of people say that The Lion King blatantly ripped off Kimba.
Is that right?
The lion. Yeah. That's the only reason I know about it.
I had no idea. I was on the avant-garde of anime.
I mean, back in the 60s, if you were watching like anime coming in from Japan, just like that and Astro Boy, now everyone's watching anime. But back then, it was just like, what are these weirdly dubbed Japanese cartoons?
Yeah. Not to emphasize the age gap here, but I'm going to turn that question back on you. So when you were, what's the earliest show you remember, watching as a child?
My favorite or the earliest one?
The earliest. I went with kind of favorite / earliest. So what's the earliest memory you have of sitting down watching a cartoon?
Okay. I would say my earliest is probably Barney and Friends.
Barney. Oh my gosh. So that would put you similar in age to probably my oldest son.
Okay. Yeah, I'm 34.
Yep.
As far as favorite, it was probably Power Rangers.
Power Rangers? Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, earliest, probably Barney and Friends. It's a movie, but probably The Brave Little Toaster at my neighbor's house. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd say that.
Okay. So you think you could recite the most known line from Barney? I know I could.
The song?
Yeah. The Barney song?
Okay, so I have to remember the actual Barney song and not the filthy parodies that we would sing, as I got older. So it's I love you, you love me. Oh, we're as friends could be. That's not right. No, that's not it.
It had something to do with family. I love you, you love me,
We are a great big family.
Yeah.
And then it keeps going, but I don't remember the rest of it.
Oh my gosh, I had that song just because my son had like tapes and tapes and tapes of Barney. It's ingrained in my brain.
Oh yeah, no, that's what you watch. And then at a certain point, you hated Barney. And then I guess at a certain point after that, you were like, I appreciate what he taught me.
Oh, that's good.
All right. This is a bit of a thinker. So
all right. Oh boy.
If you received an elephant.
An elephant.
An elephant.
Okay.
And you had to keep it, what would you do with it? You can't sell it. You can't, kill it.
Yeah. So you can't sell it. You can't keep it. So
But you have to keep it.
You have to keep it. So yeah, number one, first thing is I'm going to ride that.
100%.
100%.
Before you do anything else.
Yeah. So I'm not going to kill it. I'm going to keep it. So, elephants, warmer climate, I'm going to have to put it in the house someplace. So that means, I'm going to have to dig a really deep basement. And the elephant's
You're going to put them in your basement?
Well, we live in an HOA, right? So you just can't unilaterally start constructing buildings, right? You got to get approval.
I mean, yeah, they'd probably be upset about the elephant, too.
Yeah. Yeah. Now that you mention it, there might be a bylaw that prohibits potentially dangerous animals.
That's true, but I guess if you tell them, no, for some reason, I can't get rid of this elephant.
Yeah, they'd kick me out for sure.
No, so, then you just kick.
I'd be living at your house.
Neighborhood. That's what would happen.
Yeah, they're itching for a reason anyway. So
no, I understand. Yeah. That's No, I mean, hey, riding it and then figuring it out from there. Something with a basement, I guess. I don't know. All right. So, what is the fastest you've ever driven?
Oh, that's bad. Yeah. So the fastest I've ever driven was with a buddy of mine in high school, and he was doing 125.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And didn't get caught. He actually had one of those Smokey and the Bandit Trans Ams.
Oh, really?
So yeah, only it wasn't black; it was like blue.
So, but you were really just letting fast. All the horses out.
Yeah.
Nice. 125. That's really good. And in America is even more impressive.
Yeah.
I got 120 on a previous episode, but that was Germany.
Yep. And the same buddy tried to recreate that feat. I wasn't in the car with him, but he tried to do it on I-69 in Michigan, and the cops were waiting for him a couple of miles up the road. Mm-hmm. So they didn't even bother chasing him. They just put a roadblock in place. So,
oh my God,
not one of his best decisions.
No, not one of his best decisions. But I mean, sometimes you got to live that Smokey and the Bandit life. What is your favorite carnival food?
Oh, I got to go with elephant ears. So I always joke with my wife that my retirement plan or early retirement plan is going to be, we get an elephant ear truck and we do the carny circuit, man. We just go from fair to fair to fair, and we make very fat, unhealthy food for the masses.
I think you figured out what you're going to do with your elephant now, too.
I hope not, because elephant ears are dough.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying, if you had an elephant at your elephant ear stand, I mean, that's going to bring people in.
I didn't think of that, but that is a great idea.
There you go.
Yeah. We could maybe tow the elephant ear stand. I wouldn't even need
Yeah.
I'd just riding the elephant, pulling, the elephant ear stand behind.
This is the most perfect idea that I think
I'll share that with my wife.
Okay, let her know. Dark milk or white chocolate?
Oh, yeah. Dark? You said dark?
Yeah.
As
Dark
in,
milk or light or white?
yeah. So I like chocolate milk. So.
So milk chocolate.
Actually, dark. I'm
Dark.
gonna go with dark.
Okay.
Yeah.
How
I
dark?
don't know why that was so confusing for me to answer, but because apparently dark is a little healthier. My wife says.
Right.
So
Well, it's not full of milk.
yeah, true. I don't know what makes it healthier, but she says it is.
It's got antioxidants in it or something.
I don't know the science behind it. I just know that 90% of the time my wife is right. So I just listen to her.
90%. That's
good odds.
That's pretty low.
Yeah. She might disagree with that.
What temperature do you like the thermostat set?
Oh,
It's
yes.
just you. You're out in a hotel.
Yep.
And you've got no other influences.
No other influence. 70 degrees.
70 degrees.
Yep. That's my jam. Yep.
Okay.
And it doesn't matter if it's night or day.
All right. Respectable. Tell me a 4-letter word that starts with the letter B.
Bear.
Bear.
Yeah.
Okay, good. What is your favorite color and why?
I would say at this point it's maize, right? Just because it's the most recognized number in or color in maize and blue. So I went to the University of Michigan,
Right.
which is maize and blue.
Yeah,
So,
I figured it was heading that direction.
Yep. Okay. Yeah.
Not a lot of people say maize instead
maize.
of, yellow or.
What was that? Oh, Grown Ups. You ever seen that movie, Grown Ups?
I have, yeah.
The one guy enunciates maize. Like, he drags it out. It's really funny.
All right. So the last question: if you could instantly become an expert in one skill, what would it be?
Oh my gosh, singing.
Singing.
Yes. Bowmans were born missing the musical inclination gene.
I see.
So
Okay.
I cannot play an instrument. I cannot sing, but I admire those who can.
Okay.
So that
singing.
would be so cool for me. Yeah.
So if you were an expert singer, would you just be singing for yourself, or would you be up in front of people entertaining? Like, is that the way you would go with it?
Well, I don't know about entertaining, but I would definitely be up in front of people.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Because I have been up in front of people with no skill. And number one, it's a little embarrassing.
It's much worse.
But I would like to see how that feels from the opposite end of the spectrum, from people who can actually sing and not embarrass themselves.
Gotcha. So to go up there and have people be impressed with what's happening in front of them.
Yeah, or at least, if they could just say that's not horrible, I would be okay with that.
That Allen Bowman, he's not horrible.
Not horrible. It's a life goal.
All right. Well, that's all the Q&A for you I have.
Okay.
The last question that I ask everyone before we sign off on the show is just give me one personal goal and one professional goal that you have for yourself right now.
Personal and professional. So let's start with personal. It's going to have to relate to my new granddaughter,
Okay.
right? So my personal goal is, to have a little more work-life balance and to get to the state of Ohio to see my granddaughter as often as I possibly can.
Okay.
Right. Professionally, my goal is really to build, a high functioning, self-confident accounting team here at PMD.
All right.
So, if that were to happen tomorrow and, I left the division or left the company or left this earth, I would feel really good about that professionally.
Okay. No, that's a really good goal to have. Well, that's all I've got for you today. Is there anything else that you'd like to add to the show?
So you go by CT.
Yes.
Right? And the C stands for Clay.
Clay, yes.
Right? What does the T stand for?
The T stands for Tony.
Clay Tony.
Not Anthony.
Not Anthony.
Tony.
So is that your middle name?
That is my middle name.
Okay.
Yep. I am a third, which is why I go by CT. My grandfather was Clay Tony Leffler. He went by Clay. My dad is Clay Tony Leffler Jr. He goes by Tony. And then when I came out, CT was...
You wanted your own thing.
The last thing to call me. Hey, it wasn't my idea. They were calling me CT long before I could make the decision. Yeah.
Oh, that wasn't your call. That was your parents' call.
That was their call.
Oh, okay. Well, good. That's one thing I always wondered about. So thanks for explaining that.
Well, I'm happy to answer it. It's usually the first thing people ask, so I appreciate your restraint.
Okay. Yeah, I saved it to the end.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, Alan. Well, I appreciate you being on the show. Best of luck.
Well, thank you. All right.
And there you have it, folks, the latest and greatest from Pump and Motor Dialogue. I'd sincerely like to thank Alan for coming on the show today, answering all my questions, being a real trooper during the Q&A, throwing a few cues back my way. I think it was a really fun interview, and I think we had a really good time filming it. If you'd like to learn more about Pump and Motor Dialogue, would like to be on the show, or have any suggestions for the show, shoot us an email at pumpmotor@parker.com. That's pumpmotor@parker.com. Be sure to subscribe to the show anywhere you can download podcasts or on YouTube at Parker's Product and Support page. With all that being said, we'll sign off like we always do. My name is CT Leffler. This has been Pump and Motor Dialogue, and space, the final frontier. Have a good one.